All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden history. I mean, it's literally built right into the walls and floors of your home. We're talking about the story of its plumbing. I mean, seriously, just think about that for a second. What if those little groans and drips you hear late at night, what if they aren't just random annoyances? What if they're actually clues to a story that started like 100 years ago? So, to really get into this, we're going to use the beautiful, historic homes of Takoma Park, Maryland as our guide. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you live there or on the other side of the country. If your home has a bit of age to it, trust me, this story, it's your story too. All right, first up, let's talk about the clues. Your house, well, it's always communicating. And when it comes to plumbing, it's usually trying to warn you about something way bigger hiding just out of sight. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? The sink that takes forever to drain. That weird gurgling sound the toilet makes. Water pressure that's just sad. Look, these aren't just separate little headaches. They're usually symptoms of one single, much larger problem that's lurking inside your walls. And here's the crazy part. In a place like Takoma Park, you've got these gorgeous homes from the early 1900s, and many of them are still running on their original plumbing. I mean, think about that. That's infrastructure that's been on the job for over a century. And that 100-year-old plumbing, well, that brings us to the real culprits here. We're talking about the ghosts of plumbing past. It's the materials themselves, and frankly, they are just reaching their breaking point. So meet public enemy number one, galvanized pipes. These were the standard for decades, basically steel pipes dipped in a zinc coating. But they have this one critical flaw. They corrode from the inside out, so you can't even see it happening. It just slowly, silently chokes off your water flow. And yeah, starts leaching rust right into your water. Yikes. Wow, and just look at the difference 100 years makes, right? On one side, you've got the old stuff, that galvanized steel that literally rusts itself shut, and these brittle clay pipes that'll crack if you look at them wrong. And then on the other side, modern copper and PEX, materials that were specifically engineered to avoid those exact problems. Okay, so here is the number you really need to remember. 40 to 50 years. That's pretty much the accepted lifespan for these galvanized pipes. So if your house was built in, say, the 1920s or even the 1960s, that clock has not just run out, it's been out for a while. But it's not just about age, you know? The environment itself is waging this constant, low-key war on your home's plumbing. And the older systems, they're always the first casualties. What we're looking at here is a real triple threat. First, you've got tree roots, and they are always on the hunt for water. Then there's hard water, which is just loaded with minerals that build up inside your pipes, kind of like cholesterol in an artery. And finally, you've got those brutal freeze-thaw cycles, especially in a place like Maryland, that can literally just pop a pipe wide open. Okay, let's zoom in on how this works with tree roots, because it's kind of wild. It all starts with a teeny tiny root sensing a little bit of moisture escaping for a hairline crack in an old clay sewer pipe. It just wiggles its way in. But once it's inside, it's like a party. It thrives, creating this huge, dense mat of roots that eventually catches everything coming down that pipe. And that's when you get a complete and totally disastrous backup. And hard water? You might not think it's a big deal, but look at this chart. It shows just how destructive it is. That sediment buildup from hard water, it's the #1 killer of water heaters. See, all those minerals settle at the bottom of the tank, creating this thick layer. That layer actually insulates the water from the heater's burner, which means it has to work harder and harder and harder until it just gives up. Okay, enough doom and gloom, right? The good news, and it is really good news, is that modern technology has given us some absolutely incredible solutions for these ancient problems. You know, the whole philosophy has changed. The modern approach is all about transparency. It's not some big mystery anymore. The goal now is to actually show you the problem, explain exactly what it's going to cost, and make sure you understand why a certain repair is the right one. And this is so cool. You can see the direct one-to-one solutions we have now. So those old corroded galvanized pipes, the fix is a whole home repipe with this amazing flexible tubing called PEX. Roots clogging up your sewer line, we can blast them clean with high-pressure hydrojetting. And get this, you don't even have to guess where a hidden leak is anymore. We can just send a tiny video camera down there to pinpoint its exact location. The whole process itself has been totally streamlined. It all starts with a clear diagnosis and, importantly, an upfront price. No surprises. The pros handle all the permits and inspections, they get the work done efficiently, test everything thoroughly, and then they back it all up with a written warranty. It's just a clean, professional, and honestly, a much less stressful system.
So, the big question is, how do you get ahead of all this? Well, that brings us to our final section. Let's talk about how you can become a more proactive homeowner and, protect your biggest investment.
All right, these are the 5 big warning signs you absolutely cannot ignore. If your water pressure is just always low, if you see rusty or discolored water coming out of the tap, if your drains are constantly slow, if your water bill suddenly skyrockets for no reason, or you find a weird wet spot in your yard, your house isn't just whispering, it's screaming for help.
And you know what the best part is? So much of this is about simple, proactive maintenance. Like, for example, do you know where your main water shutoff valve is right now? Because trying to find it when water is spraying everywhere is not the time. Even something as simple as flushing your water heater once a year can add years to its life. These are tiny steps that can literally save you thousands of dollars down the road.
So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. Your home has a history, and it is telling you its story every single day through all those drips and gurgles and slow drains. The only real question left is, are you listening?